welcome back. In this video I pretty much finish off this bike and all the details, and we'll just be left with the final paintwork. So I'll start by sorting out the brake switch. So this is brake switch actually off of a XJ650, and to make it work all I do is swap over the spring to the original spring, and either one could have worked, but I just chose this because it was easier for me. Given I've got a 150 on the back, I find that in this case, because it's so big and it's so tight, that it's easier to pull this apart with the whole drive still connected to the wheel. Now you notice there the axle popped out. It's not really a big deal as long as you've got a solid uni joint on the back of the engine so it stays aligned. Take that out because I need to weld these brackets on for the reservoir and the bracket to hold the rear master cylinder. And once I do that, bit of sanding, bit of undercoat, and then I blend it in with the grey I've used on this frame. And it's sort of a metallic colour, and it worked out perfectly. So I'll just show you a bit of a close-up here, and you can't tell whatsoever. So that's turned out fantastic. There's all the wiring behind there. Pretty much finished the wiring as well. I'm just putting the plastic guard on here. Now I've cut this down a little bit just to get it to fit properly. And in that bottom right hand corner I've just cut a piece away just to make clearance for the rear caliper stabilizer bar. Putting the final drive back in now, and I'm using a bit of molybdenum base grease on the final gear. I put a bit of wire under there just to hold that in the right spot, and as I said, it's easier. I find it's easier just to put this whole drive in and out. So once I get it lined up, I'll pull that wire out, wiggle it around a bit, and it just pushes straight in, so no problem whatsoever. Once I get that rear wheel back in, I tension everything up, put the rear shockers back on, and that hopefully is the last time I need to do this, and that is pretty much finished off. Now I just check that it spins freely. You'll see in a moment here just how close it is. So there's the rear caliper bar, and it's probably about 5mm clearance, and on the other side it's quite tight as well. It's about 3mm clearance between the tyre edge and the swing arm. So we'll just see how it goes. I think it's actually going to be okay, but time will tell. Now just for the gear selector rubber, it was a bit worn. I managed to get a new one from Yamaha, so just slip that on, and I personally think these small details make a difference, so I figured I've gone this far, I don't want to take any shortcuts, so put that on. Now here's the custom side mounts that I made. I just painted these and I'm just putting them on for the last time, and you can see the rear master cylinder with that detail of for the Brembo, which is a stock XJ900 master cylinder. I had to modify that brake lever a little bit, and also fitted obviously this custom braided line, so it just sort of profiles itself around the shocker, and at the back of that shocker I've got a little clamp to hold it in the right spot. Putting the mufflers on for the last time, and I add a little bracket that also goes onto those mounts just to make sure it's stabilized, and that's all comes up really good. And one of the last things is to put some oil, gear oil, in the final drive. So you just put this in. I can't remember how much it holds, it's not that much, but you essentially fill it up so the bike's upright until it's brim filled to that top up point. Now I searched high and low, you can't get these from Yamaha anymore, but I did find 2 new old stock side covers with the Yix logo, and they weren't cheap, but at the end of the day I went this far and I wanted it to be right, so just putting that on, I think that looks awesome as well, really finishes off the engine. So obviously I was lucky, and after searching long enough I found a new one for both sides. So that is the engine pretty much done, and you can see here how it looks from the rear. Now I colour tune this as well, so I won't go through all the detail of this, but it's colour tune is like a spark plug that you put in there, and it's got a glass shield, and you can see how it's burning, so you want it to be like that Bunsen blue, and I'm just revving it up and down. You can see it's a bit rich here, so I mess around with that a bit, and I get it pretty good, I think, for the first ride anyway. From here, in the next video, I'll start prepping the front guard, fuel tank, and the seat. Stay tuned.